It's time to stop fighting your equipment and start mastering your swing. Are you playing your best golf, or are you just compensating for what's in the bag? Today's show, we're finding the Zen in every strike, balancing the mental game with the elite precision of Japanese engineering. If you're ready to elevate your game and your lifestyle, you're in the right place. Golf Talk Live starts right now.
The following broadcast is brought to you by the iGolf Sports Network.
Golf Talk Live is sponsored by the iGolf Sports Network and Golf Tips Magazine. Here's Andrew to tell you more about our sponsors.
iGolf Sports is a live stream broadcast and media production company providing quality programming designed to attract the golfing enthusiast. And Golf Tips, the game's most in-depth instruction magazine, including reviews on the latest equipment, tips from top teaching professionals, all designed to help you improve from tee to green. Welcome to Golf Talk Live with your host, Ted Odorico. Join Ted each week as he speaks with some of the best in golf. This week's special guest will join us a bit later. But first up is another great discussion on Coach's Corner. So let's introduce tonight's Coach's Corner panel.
All right, welcome to Golf Talk Live's Season 14. I'm your host, Ted Odorico. We're going global today, from the soulful art of the perfect strike to a deep dive into the world's most coveted irons. But first, let's find your rhythm. We're heading straight to the Coach's Corner. Let me introduce tonight's panelists. First up is a seasoned PGA golf instructor and partner of TGM Golf and the R3 approach, Clint Wright. His philosophy strips away the paralysis by analysis that plagues many amateurs, focusing instead on natural athletic movement and rhythm to produce consistent results. Also on the panel tonight is Jamie Leno Zimron. She's an LPGA professional and a 6th degree black belt in Aikido. She is the pioneer of Ki Golf, known as the Golf Sensei. She blends martial arts internal power with professional golf instruction. Jamie specializes in teaching golfers how to use body alignment, focused energy, and the zone to play more powerful and mindfully golf. Welcome, guys, to the Coach's Corner panel.
Good to be here, Clint.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to it.
All right, appreciate it. So what I've done is I've taken a little bit of each of your backgrounds, if you will, and kind of what you specialize in, and I framed the questions in such a way that each question that applies to the individual is going to be sort of tailored to what you guys are known for. So I'm going to start off as I introduced you. Clint, I'm going to talk about this, and I wanted if you could maybe walk us through a little bit of the R3 framework. So specifically, how does it help a player differentiate between, let's say, a fundamental mechanical imperative and a personal style preference? So talk us through the R3 framework and specifically how it differentiates between the mechanics of swing and maybe a personal style.
Well, the R3 evolves around what we have as a 16-piece puzzle that breaks down mechanical, body, the mental capacity, and then the mindfulness of being able to take all that to the golf course. That's where we start. And what we try to do is to work a player through each thing. We want to go and look at it as a protocol. Just like we want to know what you're doing, what the problem is, try to diagnose the problem. But most importantly, we don't want to make a mistake on what the problem may be. So what we try to do is walk a player through, what's the golf club doing? What's the tool doing first? Is it in the right places? Is it online? Is the angle being set? Are we getting it back down the path? If that's the case, then we can go on past that and not get weighted down in what the club head's doing. We know it's okay. Then we'd immediately move over as well as your body movement supporting that.
Right.
And if we've got those two things worked out, then we have to go over and look. Obviously, the player is striking the ball well. If they're doing those two things well, then what we have to do is begin to analyze how they're beginning to try to use that on the golf course. For years when I was coaching, mom and dad would want to know what I thought about their kid. And I said, well, he's a pretty good hitter, but we don't know how good a player he is. So we want to move over into teaching a person how to play as quickly as we can. That strips away all the mistakes and all the stuff that they see and read about, I've got to have the club here, I got to have the club there. As long as the club face and the path of the club and the angle is being maintained and you're supporting that, then we want to focus on how you're trying to use it, not necessarily you trying to have something better to use. there always comes a point to where it's good enough. So now how are you going to use it? And that way we kind of feel like you use the word, we strip away a little bit of the mystery about it and said, look, we're going to show you that what you're doing is fundamentally sound. So let's
Right.
go and talk about how you're going to use this on the course. And, we always have a philosophy, a point that if you're not aware of something, you can't repeat it. So we want you to become aware that your movement, your swing is good. You can repeat it because you're aware of it. Now let's go and see how you're going to work that out and become useful on the golf course with what you know how to do.
Well said. That's great. Thank you for explaining that. And I want to, as I said, I want to give each of you really an opportunity, because you have very unique specialties in the golf business that obviously incorporate a lot of similarities, but they're also different. And this brings me to yours, Jamie, and sort of that Aikido connection, if you will. So as I mentioned in the opening bio, you're a 6-degree Aikido black belt and also an LPGA pro. You've bridged two very different worlds, if you will. And I want you to talk about how you sort of first discovered the art of, as I call it, the art of peace, is really what held the secret to more powerful, consistent golf swing. So I want you to talk about how your martial arts experience, how you've sort of married the two between your traditional golf instruction.
Thank you for the question. And my book is going to be out within a couple months. It has a lot more of this information background in it. But I actually started playing golf when I was 7 in Wisconsin, and I was basically kind of a natural. It was before there was a lot of golf instruction and that sort of thing. Although we did have junior tournaments, and I was ranked in the top 10 nationally with some future LPGA stars and all. But I went to school at Stanford, and that's where I started practicing Aikido. In the 70s, Aikido was kind of coming into the States from Japan. And a friend of mine told me about it. I said, this is too good to be true. Well, it turns out that Aikido gave me a generic understanding of what I sort of naturally knew. So, for example, we would say, keep your head down. Well, that's about keep a center, keep a steady focus, and something you can rotate around. Bend your knees. Well, that was like having a solid base. Don't let my hips get ahead of my hands. This was connection, and a lot of different things. Anyways, I opened my own martial arts school when I was 25 in San Francisco. And I was teaching sword work, how to hold a sword. And I said, well, you see, it's a lot like golf. And I had always had a tip of the tongue feeling on my whole body that I already sort of got Aikido, and it turns out it was from golf. So you hold a sword, wooden sword or samurai sword like this. The only difference is putting the hands together in golf. But the sense of extending or flowing energy down the sword blade or the shaft of the club, we have to get our energy out to the tip of the sword in martial arts. Well, that's the club face, and make contact there. So they were, it's just kind of like do, 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 do. And then I returned to golf and joined the LPGA as a teaching professional. I'm also a psychologist, so I've been very much in the mind-body field. And it's not kind of just all between the ears. Jack Nicklaus, in fact, said golf is played between the arches of your feet. And I am very big on our footwork, our base, our lower body in golf. Most instructors don't talk a lot about that. They're more into shoulder turn and straight left arm and all this stuff. And it turns out all athletic motion really starts from the feet and ground force and feet up through the knees and hips, and then connected with the shoulders and upper body movement. And then there's breath, relaxation, let it go, from a stable I call it LPGA, loving your posture, grip, and alignment. This should all be connected, harmonious, set up for success, moving in a way that's connected. It does come out quite natural, but there are what I call mechanics to the magic. It's magic. When you hit a golf ball, all this thing happens, but there's mechanics. And when you follow those natural laws and the ways the body and mind work together, energy works, it turns out that movement is very fluid, powerful, sort of that flow zone thing. And but you have this, Clint was talking about, you're aware, you know what you're doing. It didn't just sort of like, willy-nilly happen and you can't repeat it. So it's kind of a blend. I always say the physical, the metaphysical in a sense. But this whole notion, I'll say one more thing that's, I think, very important for martial arts. It's about centering. And, golf is such a centered sport. There we are, boom, right in front of us. And we need to make what we call centered contact on the ball. That's when you hit the sweet spot in the club, right?
Right.
So The thing is, golfers make centered contact on a random basis. They never know when. Not two here, two that. Oh, and the one that keeps you coming back. Oh, that was great. So my theory is if we could up our percentage from random to a consistent 30, 40, 50, 60, you won't get 100%, but you get a lot higher than a baseball player, for example. We can get to 70, 80% centered contact. When we miss the center, it won't be so bad. We won't be in the woods, maybe we'll be in the rough or that sort of thing. So centered, if I can stay centered as opposed to lift and sway and peak and all these things that break that centeredness, if I'm centered, I move in a properly sequenced lower to upper body centered way, I'm going to start making centered contact. The club will make its centered orbit the way the earth goes around the sun, because the sun is solid in the middle. We need to be that center. So that's another really, really big thing from martial arts that I bring into golf, is the sense of centeredness with a solid structure and ground, and then a relaxed flow and breath through the ball.
Well said. And this is why I wanted you to really have an opportunity for both of you to talk about, again, what you each sort of bring to the table to instruction, because just like no two players are exactly alike, no two instructors are exactly like. Everybody has a little bit different mixture, if you will. And what I've often liked about Jamie, for instance, is the fact that you have incorporated another component outside of what you would typically see in golf, but there's really a lot of truth to what you're doing already in golf. People just don't realize it. So you're sort of bringing it to the forefront. So you actually jumped a little bit ahead, because I was going to ask you next about the centered way. So I'll let you talk about that in a moment when I get back from Clint, but then I have something else for you as well. So Clint, I'm coming back to you, and I want you to talk about the power component. And this is, many golfers, again, are always chasing speed by hitting with their hands. And in your system that you talk about with the R3 approach is, how do you teach the relationship between pressure, pivot, and pull to create efficient power rather than sort of a forced effort? So talk a little bit again, because we see this, people just trying to power hit this ball. And really that's, as Jamie was just talking about with what she has said, that's really not what's necessarily the case. So give us some scoop here.
Well, I think that I could just repeat what Jamie said about from the ground up. I've never played, nor have any one of y'all played a sport that didn't start from the ground up. The footwork is important. But one of the things that we see when we talk about is that I'll take a student and take a 7-iron and just make as very relaxed and as long a swing as I can make to make a point with them. Because the ball that I'll do that is going to go about 100 yards. Okay? Just by letting it flop down on the ball and the ball responds. And I ask them where the 100 yards come from. And they always want to say, well, you pull the club, you push the club, you did this and that. And I said, no, because if we took the ball over and dropped it on the cart path, what's it going to do? It's going to bounce. Well, where'd the bounce come from? The same place the 100 yards came from. It's built into the ball. It's there for you. So how do we realize that and just simply to create what Jamie just said, a centered contact. If I can make the power in the middle of that golf club is what you're looking for. And if you can extend your body and stretch it, I understand her background in martial arts. I like the Tai Chi ideas. Let's get our body moving. But then I ask them, I hit a 7-iron 150 yards. So how much do I have to put in? And they never have an answer. All I've got to do is swing for 50 yards, not the whole 150. So I try to get my students to feel like I'm only hitting a 50-yard shot or a 60-yard shot. That's what I want your body to feel like. So that means it's going to be much more relaxed. Tension kills speed. Speed equals distance. And so if I can keep them breathing, as Jamie mentioned, we got to have some, relaxed breathing. And if I can get them to stay relaxed or what they consider to be, then I can help them build more speed, which gives them more distance, regardless of their physical really capabilities of getting a bigger turn, creating some better ground force and working, down and through the ball instead of up and away from it. And to try to get them to understand we can use some of this natural forces around us if we'll stay out of its way, stay centered, stay balanced, keep your body moving. Jackie Burke always believed that the golf swing was two parts. You had to finish your backswing to have a downswing. So we can't get in a hurry is his point. Finish, get good turn, get some leverage into the lower half, and then let that release. The word release doesn't necessarily mean releasing the club with your hands. In my opinion, it's releasing your backswing, release everything. And if you do that and stay, relatively loose through it, you know that part of the game is not to fling the club down the fairway. So you're going to hold on to it. So there's going to be a natural tension increase to hold the club. But if you will try to understand that power comes from center hit and speed, then we got a chance of developing a better touch and feel that should give them more distance as a byproduct of that.
Well said. I like how you interwove what Jamie talked about into your answer as well. So obviously that's a shout out to you, Jamie. Right. It's all, yeah, it's all, yeah, exactly. And she's exactly right in what she said as well. And I think this is what, so often I can guarantee we've all at some point, many times, seen this up at the practice range where people are just flying out of their shoes. They're just trying to muscle the ball out there and it's not going anywhere. Or if it does get some power behind it, it's all over the place because they're so out of sync. Their timing, their rhythm, everything is out of sync. So, and the club face is pointing, every which way but loose. And what ultimately ends up happening is they might be hitting it a good distance, but it's nowhere near the target or anywhere near going towards the target. So, there's a balance in everything. Jamie, I want to get you to unpack just a little bit the Ki mastery, if you will, and your approach really emphasizes, and I've kind of thrown these little analogies in here, is moving similar to like a beam of light. And I want you to talk a little bit about how does a focus on energy flow and rhythm help a golfer bypass that paralysis by analysis. I know Clint talked a little bit about it as well, but that often comes from traditional position-based instruction, as you talked about earlier, where, let's get this into slot A and into slot B and so forth. And sometimes when we get too mechanical in it, but through your Ki centered way is you've really tap into a person's energy flow and rhythm. So talk a little bit about that, if you wouldn't mind.
Well, exactly. And, my book took a little extra time to write because I really had to delve into conveying what is Ki, what is energy, what is harmony, unity, what is, all of these things. So, and then there's a really big chapter, as a case study of Ki golf and the application of all this to golf. Because it applies in every sport. It's universal, applies in leadership. It just applies in anything. Well, let me say this. My first question always to golfers is what makes your golf ball go? And, they'll say, well, I hit it and angles and the club head, whatever, all these different things. It's like, and what really makes your golf ball go is you. Right. So then the next question is, who are you? And I was like, we're right. Deep, fast, right? The age-old question, who am I? But on a very functional, practical level, it's like I got an answer. You are life energy in a body, right? We get bored, we breathe, we move, we die, we lose the body, the life energy goes out of the body. That thing that leaves, and you could call it spirit, soul, you could just call it life energy, whatever you want to call it, but it's not there anymore. So it's this life energy, and it works. This is universal all over the planet, doesn't matter sex, age, size, etc. Works through our body, mind, emotion, spirit. Yeah. Those are our faculties, and they need to work in harmony. I can't have my mind saying one thing and my emotions are saying the next thing, and my body's like doesn't know what to do, and my spirits are in the dumps. I mean, it just doesn't work like that. So this is the self-mastery. He or she who can master their own faculties and their energy more, knows how it works through the body, is going to do better. It turns out it works from the lower to the upper body. Think about a quarterback throwing, or a baseball hitter, or a tennis player, a basketball player goes down, and so lower body, and then nice relaxed arms and hands. So this is just kind of the way it works. And when we can apply that to golf, we stop killing the ball. And the killing it thing is because we haven't really been taught about the true sources of our power, the centered sequential thing, the breath, relaxed power. And you're just standing there stationary, not even running around. And you're like, what do I do? Right? And so we kill it with our upper body. I was just at the LPGA Founders Cup. It was in the Bay Area last week, and I was there. And something really interesting is that Louise Suggs, one of the 13 founders of the LPGA, and she was a small person physically. She wrote a classic book, Power Golf for Women, and it just applies to everybody, in 1953. Well, Ben Hogan wrote the foreword and said her swing was so smooth, so solidly, roundly joined together. No one was longer off the tee or more down the middle. She was bound to be a winner. So this was from Ben Hogan, and she said there should be no thought of trying to murder the ball when you get back to it.
Right.
Yeah, and so this is age-old stuff. This isn't, it's not my discovery. It's not, new age. This is just kind of the way it is. It's been this way for a long time, and every great athlete, as well as a musician for that matter, anybody, a singer, follows these laws of energy and how to be in charge of their own energy and use it in the best ways possible, their mental, physical, emotional energy, to their spirit, where they're going. I will say one more thing, and that is about, because we've mentioned distance and direction.
Yep.
And those things come when you have balance, when you have centeredness, when you have a foundation. You're not all over the place. And I remember a friend of mine, Dee Dee Lasker, she played on the tour. She's been in the golf business a long time. She spoke one day to our girl golfers, and she said, I knew I was going to be a golf pro when I was 4 years old because of my name, Edie. D for distance and D for direction. So I always love that, It's like how often you're like, oh, you're like pin high and you're in the bunker, right? Or you're like way over the pin, you're, either 10, 20 yards short or long. It's like you need them both. And that is a function that it's produced in a consistent way when we are consistently grounded, centered, moving in sequence and relaxed, like a beam of light focused on line. Yeah. And moving around spiraling around a stable center.
Yeah, well said. It reminds me too, and my good friend LPGA professional Cindy Miller, who I know you both know, we've joked about this, but really talked about people bringing their baggage into their game. And I always equated it with, running through the airport, you're dragging your bags behind you and you're lugging these bags. Well, that's what happens with a lot of golfers is they bring every past bad round, every bad shot with them, and they lose that sort of centered way, that connection, again, with their spirit and their body, and they're thinking about too many things. They're thinking about swing thoughts, and they got so much going on upstairs that they're not really focused on the task at hand. And a lot of times, if they just learn to get out of their own way, they would be a much better player and quit focusing on the mechanics. And so that kind of reminds me what you were talking about. I was thinking about that as you were speaking, and I thought how really, so many people spend so much of their time in this game trying to perfect something that comes really naturally to all of us. We can all swing. We can swing a stick. We can swing a baseball bat, all this, these different analogies that we've used over the years. But what ends up happening is people put too much thought into it and start decompressing or deconstructing the golf swing so much that by the time they're said and done, they've got 20 swing thoughts when they stand up in front of the ball, and they're no longer centered. They're no longer thinking, I'm just going to go up there, have fun. Let's enjoy the round. They're now thinking about too many other things, and they get too much in their way. So, but Clint, I want to come back to you. I just got a few more moments here each. And this one here, this is sort of a practical example of what you've been talking about. And I thought maybe you could share a story, if you will, perhaps of a student. You don't necessarily have to give names or anything, obviously, who was completely lost. Again, what I was just talking about with their technical swing thoughts and how that system that the R3 that you've helped develop, how they sort of were able to give them more clear, repeatable roadmap. So once they've been applied to your system, how were they able to then regroup and become a better player as a result of just sort of going out there and, as Jamie said, sort of chaotic?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. And before I get into that, I'll add one thing about Jackie Burke Jr. in his book called Play Golf the Natural Way, written 1952 or 3. His point was that people don't play golf, they attack golf. And that's kind of what you're describing. They attack it. They go out there, got to do this and that instead of playing golf. So with that in mind, we use the puzzle, and as a protocol, we try to go through as we spoke about earlier, we will analyze or at least look at every aspect of a golf swing, what the club is doing, what the body's doing. And what we then try to do about with video and just analysis of it is says, this is okay. You don't have to think about what the club is doing. Whatever learning and practice and work you've been doing is working. It's okay. So we're going to move past on to that and let's figure out what the body's doing. Is it supporting that? And try to prove to our students, stop looking for something better in this area of your golf swing. It's okay. We can then go on to the next place. And if that's okay, we'll go on over to how are you your tactical side? Are you got your yardages right? Or how are you beginning to play? So if you look at it in our protocol, we want to stop people attacking golf. We want them to learn to get over what we call crossing the bridge from technical to playing. And we try to just prove to them, this is what you're doing. It's perfectly fine and good. It's fundamentally sound. And that's all you have to achieve in what you're doing with the club and what you're doing with your body. Be fundamentally sound. And that has a lot of factors like Jamie's talking about. Are you centered? Are you developing any kind of torque in your swing? Those things that we can prove to them that you have to buy into this okay. Because before you're ever going to get a person to go across that bridge, they have to believe that they're doing it okay. You can't, you have to convince them of it, but they still have to buy into it. That frees them up to go across the bridge over here to tactical into the playing aspect of what we're dealing with. The mental, if you want to call it mental, I like to call it more emotional. We all know what we're doing. We know who we are. We know where we're at. It's all about the nerves, the want to, the desire to play well, to be able to control those emotions on the golf course. And one of the things that we always, try to avoid, and we see it every day, is kind of a joke around where we play. We'll walk into the shop and say, well, what's the thought of the day? What's the method of the day? Because that's what everybody's looking for. What am I going to try today that was better than it was yesterday? Well, there may not be a better way because you're fundamentally sound now. So stop looking. Start trying to develop the skills to use what you have. And that's not in the physical movement. That's in the emotional, tactical side of the game, to where when you step out on the first tee, your awareness, your mindfulness of what you're going to try to do is not a tactical move. It's an emotional, stable, relaxed, powerful movement from away from the ball and back through the ball. And that's never going to come when you step up on the first tee and try to keep your left arm straight and your head down. It's not going to come from that. It's going to come from the person. We try to convince them that you're doing that fine. So let's focus on something else, because that's where you're going to see improvement, is in the tactical, the emotional control, and being able to take what you know and apply it during the game. It's a game. There's nothing more than that. When you're on the practice tee, that's not a game. But when you go to the first tee, we're playing a game. So you have to enjoy the game. Don't attack it, play it.
Yeah. Well said. Some great points, Clint. Thank you for that. Jamie, finally for you, I want to talk about sort of the integrative vision, if you will. You've worked with everyone from corporate leaders to tour players. What is the most common missing link, if you will, that you see that prevents even the most physically gifted athletes from reaching their peak performance on the course? So what is it specifically? What's that one thing that they're really missing that you've discovered working with high caliber executives and also professional players that helps? And they can be some of the best. I mean, we've seen some athletes from all different sports get out there. I mean, I hate to throw them under the bus, but Charles Barkley, could play at times. And then there was a moment there where it was ugly. So even some of the most gifted athletes out there doesn't always translate to the golf course. So what's the missing link that prevents even some of the most athletic players just not do their best on the golf course?
Kind of what we've been talking about, which is being too much in their heads. Mm-hmm. And I mean that both mentally and physically. Yep. So what I mean is, most of us are kind of more in our heads. There's a big section I always talk about the body as a bad rap and a bad rep, right? It's like, No good. And we very much value the mind and education, which we think of as only head brain. We're even more in our heads because we're on our devices and our computers, and we're all in this head information thing. We're not very present in our bodies, and most people don't even like their bodies. They hurt, they aren't the right weight, the right size, the right whatever. It's, and they're not that conversant with their body. So when we talk about mind-body connection, we're talking about the neurophysiological connection. I can think and tend something, and I can make my body do it. Or my pro can say, drop your elbow in your side, and I know where my elbow is and where my side is, or push from my back instep to start my forward movement, to get my hips turning and to push from ground force. Well, where is my right instep? I don't know. It's kind of like the blind spot in my mirror. So we need to build the mind-body connection more than it is. And people need to be really present in their body more than in their head. So we get the analysis by paralysis. That means I'm thinking too much and I'm trying to piece together, do this, do that, do that, do that, put this tweak in, that tweak in. It's just like, the whole really is greater than the sum of its parts. So we need those parts, but we have to stay in the whole. And this sense of being really present in your body, feeling your lower belly, what we call your center, your hara, having that be connected to your legs and feet, really being able to relax and feel the tension in the body. What does relaxed feel like? But relaxed, alive, relaxed, timing, sequence. So being in command of our body parts, being in our bodies, and also being able to manage all the things that happen out there on the golf course. To manage the mental game, it's not just a matter of thinking positively or trying to do something in your head. It's very difficult to just do mental tricks and practices. We can regulate and improve our thinking the minute we move from our sympathetic, triggered, upset, emotionally upset, or whatever, sympathetic nervous system into our calm, equilibrium, parasympathetic. That's part of centering. That's part of being grounded. That's part of breathing and relaxing. And when we're there, it turns out we have a much clearer mind. Mental game improves. Emotionally, we're not stuck on upset or anger or fear, anxiety. We're in a whole different place. That's the more master place, more the black belt golfer, if you will, whatever you want to call it. But this is where it's about our nervous system, and the nervous system is like below the head, and there's connection. So we want to be in those connections, but that's where I think people lose it. They worry, they have a bad memory, they get pissed off and upset. They're not in the present. They're upset about what they did. They're scared about the 17th hole. That's a tough one, and I'm only on the 6th hole. But I just bogeyed the 5th, so now I got to worry about the 17th. I mean, it's like that. We need to have these skills to be physically and sort of mentally, physically present in our bodies, and to move our bodies, have the awareness, neuromuscular awareness, to move our bodies well, and then to manage our nervous system so that we're in that regulated, centered parasympathetic nervous system, not the triggered this kind of stuff. So I think those are the two things. And the one other thing I would say is, to me, the biggest difference between really good players and professionals compared to sort of whatever other players is balance.
Yeah.
You never see a pro like falling or lurching or lifting. I mean, it's a matter of a little bit to have the club face not right, their shots go off, but they're always in a rhythm and in a balance. Yep. And that's the thing. And that gives repeatability, it gives consistency, it gives confidence, all those things. So I think balance. And balance requires some musculature to have physical balance and to have the regulated balance. So I think those are the two biggest things.
Yeah, well said. And they obviously tend to swing within themselves. We talked about earlier with Clint about trying to really force that power. And really, a lot of the top professionals over the decades have always said it should be effortless power. And really, they're learning how to use the body correctly to be able to generate that. And there's some that have been able to get away with, but most of the ones that really tried to force the power over the years, and I'm talking about professionals, ended up with a lot of back injuries and a lot of other injuries because they were trying to muscle the ball. Right. So
you're reminding me, my signature corporate leadership program is called Stress Less, Prosper More. And the subtitle is Effortless Power for Unprecedented Success.
Right.
And I mean, it's just like, sign me up, sign me up. I want to stress less. I want to prosper more, unprecedented success. And I don't have to try so hard and be so exhausted and wasted and alienate everybody. Wow. Yeah. And that's to me what I've gotten out of Aikido, the art of peace, and try to bring to golf and to bring to the world more. And that we all prosper more. We do better.
I couldn't agree more. All right, guys. Well, listen, thank you very much for joining me in the Coach's Corner panel. It's been a great discussion. And real quick, Clint, for those that do want to reach out to you, what's the best way they can reach you? And then Jamie.
Yeah, it's been wonderful. Jamie, it's been a good show. I should have just sit and listened, to be honest with you. Yeah, it's okay. ClintGolf001 at yahoo.com is the easiest way to get a hold of me. I'd be more than happy to respond back if anybody feels like they need to send me a note. Look forward to it.
I appreciate it. And Jamie, how is the best way that they can reach you?
They can go to my website, thecenteredway.com, centeredway.com. I think it pops up, sign up for my mailing list. People can certainly call me or text me. I do respond. I like to talk, obviously, and connect personally. So that's +1 760 492 4653. And my book, The Centered Way, will be coming out in the next few months. If you're interested in a copy or whatever, or in a clinic presentation, just write me through my website or send me a message, and I will definitely be back in touch.
Well, Jamie, when it gets
it's been great. Thank you.
Yeah, when
nice
it gets a little bit closer, I'll let you plug the book on a little bit more on the show when it gets closer to its release date and that. But thank you again, always, for bringing your best to the Coach's Corner panel. All right, some incredible insights to start tonight's show. Stick around, guys. We'll be right back.
If mental clutter and inconsistency have been sabotaging your performance, rhythm and tempo phrases could be your breakthrough. These powerful phrases tap into your brain's natural rhythm-motion connection, syncing your swing to tour-level precision. Think of it like your body's instinct to move with the beat. This is scientifically known as sonification. With audio golf, we harness sonification to align your swing perfectly with the right rhythm and tempo, elevating every part of your game, from drives to putts. Let's talk about Pat, an aspiring pro. In just one 30-minute session, his leg putting accuracy shot through the roof. It might sound too good to be true, but you can experience it for yourself. Click the link and get access to the free lesson, 15-foot putts in 10 minutes with rhythm and tempo control.
All right, welcome back, everybody. I'm really excited to have tonight's featured guest join me once again. He was here back in October of 2025, and I'm excited to have him back this evening. Of course, I'm talking about the CEO of Protoconcept Golf, Marcy Komoda. He leads a brand that has sent shockwaves through the industry by merging the ultra-premium Japanese forging with modern playability. And under his leadership, Protoconcept has become a pro favorite that is now accessible to the discerning amateur, winning multiple Golf Digest Hot List gold medals and gaining significant traction on the PGA Tour. So, Marcy, welcome back to Golf Talk Live.
I appreciate it to having me here again, and it's good to see you. So, I'm happy to be here.
I appreciate it. So let's get right down to business, and I know that there's a lot to talk about. So let's talk about, since I ended with the tour.
Yep.
This young lady, of course, is a little bit different, but Jody Shedoff, she has experienced this level of responsiveness in a decade. In fact, she said she hasn't since using your equipment. So what specific forging techniques that you create that sort of helped give her that soft feel? Because that's obviously what she was looking for.
Yeah. But
Tell us about that relationship first off.
so so me and our rep from the tour, we are at the New York on the tournament, and then she was kind of struggle to hitting the ball and out of it as well as around the green, and try to make the score properly to making it a good score for competing on the tour at the time last year. And then we started to test with her of all the specs and all the irons, and then we found out one of the best equipment in her bag. And since she changed to our club Protoconcept, and then she made a CAD, and then she just made it to good score, and she made it also good result, and then so she could maintain the Hulu exempt status in this year 2026.
So let me ask you, because she's got what I would classify as a blended set. So she has a mix of the CO3 TC and the CO5 TC irons. So this combo set, was it there to sort of help bridge the gap between sort of that classic workability and obviously offer some modern, more power? Was she looking for both of that?
So on the golf, so most of the people can hit it to the straighter, and then like try to hit farther, whatever they wants to or whatever they require onto the making the score. But so what she did, she choose longer irons for C05, which you have a composite face, and then shorter side she choose C03 for TC, which is one piece of the forged. So she needed to have a more controllability in the shorter side of the iron, and so she can make it to the green, and then she can land it softly to aim to the pin, easier than before. So she can control the more spin, and then she can control the more height, and then aim to the pin. So that's what she tried to do it. Like a longer side, she need to have a distance, and then shorter side, she prefer to have a more controllability to aim to the pin directly.
So let me ask you real quick then. So just to play off that a little bit, if you don't mind, how do you, and we'll deal with the tour player as an example, because obviously they're more accomplished.
Yes.
How do you find that balance? Because they need the distance, and typically with distance, you have a little bit lower ball flight because you want it to go out further. When you start getting a little bit higher, you got more backspin, so you're getting more height. The ball's going up in the air. So how do you find that balance then for the players that with and I'm talking with the clubs,
yes,
to find that they can get the distance, but at the same time they're not losing so much height that they're able to stop the ball fairly quickly on the green when they need it?
So most of the players, especially like younger generations, right? If we talk to the older players, they know what they prefer, and they know all the numbers. So if I deal with some players over 40, 45, or 50, they don't know. They know the numbers, but they are more like more towards the feeling side. I like this face. I like this contact in the impact. I like this ball height, right? Window, what we call. But more younger generations, and then if I go to the tour now, that they know the number what they want into the wind, or like a tailwind, against wind, also the peak height, how high they want to hit it, and then what's a landing angle, because they have all the tool, which is like a Trackman or Foresight, Skytrack. They own their own equipment by themselves, so they know the number, right? And a swing pass and attacking angle, what they see it. So they can match the number with the feeling, and then all the combination blending. So the shaft, what they feel like, what the head feel like. So easier, but it's going to be difficult because all the metrics we're going to need to figure out.
Right.
right? Because
So,
yes. Mhm.
yeah. So what I was going to, I apologize for interrupting you,
No, no,
but
no.
so what I want to ask you then,
Mhm.
so then basically, because they do have access to those numbers,
Yes.
you're able to take those numbers, you understand what it is they're looking
Yes.
for. So they're telling you, okay, I need the height, I need
Mhm.
this, I need that. Here's the numbers that I can produce.
Mhm.
And then really it becomes up to you then to say, okay, we're going to match you based on the data that you're giving us and what you want.
Mhm.
This is going to be our recommendation. Here's the
Yes.
modifications. Here's the
Yes.
adjustments that we're going to make.
Mhm.
And then boom, they now have a set that might be blended, might be mixed,
Yes.
whatever,
Yes.
that now gives them exactly what they want and the numbers back it up. Is that pretty accurate?
Yes, pretty accurate. But in the end, it's coming down to the feeling,
Right.
because all the number, but all the number tell that right, but is feeling a little bit off, so they're gonna need to search a little bit more. But
Sure.
so that's easy to process, but it's difficult to be the end,
Right.
right?
Well, that's, yeah.
Right, because even the steel shaft on the LPGA, there's if I talk about 75 gram, there's the steel 75 gram from the Nippon shaft. There's two kind of it, and then the graphite there's many, and the steel fiber is combo steel and then graphite. There's a few
Right.
available, right? So there's many choices, even the 75 gram, and then
Yep.
back to the 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it's only one of the kind, 75 gram and the steel. Just only
Yep.
one company provided. But now there's so many choices, because
Sure.
and then so many other matrix we can blend it. So there's many options. But in the end, it's gonna be feeling it.
So let's say you've made the adjustments,
Yes, sir.
and they've got the setback and they're playing with it, not necessarily maybe playing around yet, but they're practicing or hitting some balls.
Mhm.
How easy is it, if need be, if you have to make some adjustments to get that feel? So you've got all the numbers, you've put the set together. Can they then come back to you and say, okay, I like this, it does this, does that, but it doesn't quite feel? How quickly can you then make what? I mean, obviously it depends on how many adjustments you have to make, but if it's just a small tweak, can that be done relatively quickly?
Yes, sir. But
Okay.
all the favor is sometimes like high elevations, the low elevation, and then moisture in the air, and then
Lot of
even the
factors.
glass. Yeah, lots of factors is going to be involving it. So in the total, and then we can find out what's like a landing point. What you like. This is
Right.
got the set you can compete entire this season. So that's what we needed to find out.
And a lot of it too is going to be depending on where they're playing a predominant
Yes.
amount of their tournaments, because if
You're
they're
right.
playing, let's say in the Southeast where you have a lot of humidity
Yes.
and that, or if they're playing more out in the West Coast where you don't have maybe the same humidity, but you got a lot of that drier air, you got
Yep.
mountain air, what have you. There's a lot of factors there to be considered as well. So it's really, it comes down to the science.
Yes.
Obviously for certain
the
things, but
feeling.
true. I mean,
It's coming down
but
to the
but
feeling.
it
Yes.
comes down. I mean, you can plug in all the numbers you want, but again, it comes
Yes.
down to what the player. If it doesn't feel right to them,
Mhm.
or they don't feel it's performing the way they need it to perform,
Mhm.
again, it boils down to the individual. Everybody's different. So
Yes. So even in the good amateurs and like competing club pros or like a club champions, and then they usually fit the golf club not on the golf course. They're
Sure.
fitting the golf club inside the
Right.
room, which is
Right.
hitting bay, and in
Yeah.
the room they do it right. So there's no rain effect. There's no
Wind conditions.
windy conditions,
Right.
and also the humid level is different, right? So
Sure.
they can feel the better and the great inside the room and the fitting room, but if they go into the outside to try to use the golf club, and then that's a feeling a little bit off, and
Sure.
then that's a gap they will see it, but that's a kind of a gap we have to filling in to their professional golf players.
Well, it's also like, how they used to test automobiles years ago. I mean, they did it within, perfect conditions.
Yes.
And, they would have it on a machine and basically would, do that. But when you get out in real life and you're bouncing around with the car, the shocks are a little bit different than what they were inside. So it's along the same ideas.
Yes, sir.
So I want to move on because I know this is something that I'm sure you guys are very proud of. You guys earned from Golf Digest 4.5 stars from for your RR Forge wedge.
Yes, sir.
That has to make you guys feel pretty good that a major publication like Golf Digest has recognized you, and you've become now part of their hot list as well.
We had a I don't want to say this, but like we had a kind of confidence to get it to the hour when I had an interview with the Golf Digest. But like sees believing, right? Like open the book and we got it. But before, and then we had a confidence. But now I'm satisfied. What I see the result came out. 4.5 star, and also on technology and also innovations. We have a pretty good hire.
Is it really, Marcy, just a way of sort of confirming, really? I mean, without coming across as sounding arrogant, but when it just sort of it reinforces what really you already knew. You knew that the stuff that the clubs were high caliber and that they were going to be able to do things. So it's kind of nice when somebody like Golf Digest comes along and says, hey, we recognize the quality and high level of your product. So it just kind of reinforces really what you at Protoconcept already knew.
Yes.
I mean, without sounding, like, hey, we're this.
No, because as the concept that came out from
it's
the Protoconcept
at the same time, but yeah,
like we try to get rid of the like a big tolerance, so the pretty tight, and also we try to do the small batch to provide all the products. So all the weight and the loft and the looks is exactly the same. Like one batch to like number 5 batch, right?
Sure.
And then so that's where your goal is. And then also what we try to do is we try to make it do some innovations on the golf club, and then we need to keep doing it. Most of like a small company cannot keep providing new ideas, and then sometimes this is newer ideas. The next generation is continue to do it, and then what is new? What's the difference? It looks the same and the concept the same, but it's a new model, right? And most of the small company does. But we try to do is something new ideas coming into the new product, and then we try to do to give more forgiveness and more precise and more quality to the consumers, and then that's what we try to do. And then Golf Digest agree with what we try to do to provide, so that's
they recognized exactly. So tell us about Vessel, because that's a collaboration that you guys have done. Tell us, the audience, if you wouldn't mind, how does a premium brand like Vessel help with your design philosophy, help you compete to a global audience? How does it help you, that partnership?
So that was just lucky. We based in Southern California, and then the Vessel, they located in Carlsbad, and then me and my business partner visited to Vessel a couple of times. No, more than a couple of times, but like frequently we visit, and then we made it like a collaboration back 3-4 years ago, and then we keep doing it, and then this is like a third generation, I believe, what we made it, like a little bit unique looks, and then just more taste from Japan.
Right. So you're trying to blend the best of both, if you will.
Yes.
So you use tour grade synthetic and obviously genuine level for the Player 4 Pro. How important was it for these bags to match the handcrafted feel of your 4R? Because again, you've got handcrafted forged irons here that are premium, as far as I'm concerned, premium. now you have to come out with something. I mean, you don't want to match it with something that and I know I'm going to get shot for this, but you don't want to match it with something you'd buy at Walmart. So you're wanting to, I forgive.
Yeah.
Walmart,
I get
mean,
it. I get it.
Get whatever, but
I get
you understand what I'm saying? Because
Yes, sir.
again, you have to find something that complements your brand, and they in turn wanted to find a product like yours,
Yes, sir.
that complements them. So that's why it was sort of a match made in heaven. So how did that come about? What was the decision process there?
So we just keep doing it. Pride ownership. Probably I told you before or no, but Protoconcept, I just want to keep it at pride ownership, which is people who purchased like a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and then they still maintained their ownership, which is with that pride of the what they own for the Protoconcept. So, and then we don't want to give them any regrets in like their purchase, right? So that is collaboration is so important for us, who we choose and what kind of design we provide, and then that design is going to be last long forever, in because design is going to be changed. Yeah, of course we know it, but we try to do to like as much as last long what we can provide it to be sharp and clean, and then their satisfactions, that's what we try to do it, pride ownership.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I want to go back real quick because I want to talk about the tour, because again, your clubs are getting noticed now, and as I mentioned, you signed a veteran like Jody Shadoff, as I mentioned, to help validate the brand's expansion into this global market. And that's not an easy task to do, because as you know, the pros get approached by everybody and their brother with new products, and you got to try this. I mean, I know people in not just the club industry, but other industries, approaching pros at tournaments and saying, "Hey, I want to do this. I want to do that." That has to really be very gratifying for you and your partner, that your clubs are now starting to get recognized more and more, not just on the LPGA, but obviously the PGA Tour as well. Has there been a lot of feedback from some of the tour players that maybe have tested, tried, or maybe currently using your clubs? What's been some of the feedback so far, and what was some of the feedback from Jody?
So, definitely she made it a good score after she switched to our club, right? But still, we have some space we can grow together, because she, like its ultimate goal is she can make it a birdie or better score every hole, right? And then that if I can provide it to her, that is great. But sometimes they up and down because of the swing, because of the emotionally involved. But on the beside, how we can help to the club to making a better score, that's our goal. And then so if a player tried at our club, but still we have a few people are still back and forth, I gotta need to do to adjust in this way, I want to change the shaft from A shaft to B shaft, I want to need to be heavy. So there's a many conversation between the players with us, but all the feedback is important, because we are aiming to the next 5 to 10 years. It's not like we are trying to do to achieving business or maintain the business this year or next year.
It's a long-term vision.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So
well, it has to be, because I mean, if you're looking, if you have a tunnel vision for, let's say, 2026 and even just 2027, and you're making a lot of changes in a short period of time, and you're not thinking long term, then what ends up happening is you're making so many adjustments in such a short term that it's hard for the brand to really grow organically and naturally, because it's just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So you have to find that synergy between players and the designer, developer, manufacturer, if you will, to say, okay, how do we find our sweet spot? So how do you find your sweet spot? How do you help them find their sweet spot? So it's kind of, it's like a dance. you start off slow and then you work up to a little bit more and then a little bit more, but it has to be a long-term vision because again, short term, it's great to see some gains, immediate feedback, but you want to say, okay, that player wants to look back. Okay, I want a relationship with them. I don't want just something for this round. I want something that's going to get me into the next season, 2 seasons, whatever the case may be. So that obviously was something that was important in this process, correct?
100%, because that's we had happen when we start tour service 4 or 5 years ago.
Sure.
And then first year we gained 5 players immediately, 5 players on the LPGA. But I didn't go to the tour every tournament. So what happened? So one player switched to product to the other manufacturer.
Somebody else.
Second players, they did it to change to the other manufacturer. Because at that time I wasn't there. So when they want to have a scratch on the back, and I wasn't there, so it's keep itching it.
Well,
someone need to be scratching for them. Like, I can help you out. Yes.
Yeah. If they have questions, they need to be able to get those answers because they can't look around and say, well, there's nobody here from Protoconcept. Marcy's over here at this course, and
I was just standing along, and I was doing the sales, I was doing office maintain, because I started this business myself, and then so I needed to.
Well, it's like anything; it takes time to develop and to grow in that, and I'll be perfectly honest. Tour players are finicky. I'll be the first to admit it. I know a few tour players, and they're finicky. So, I mean, you got to scratch some backs and things like that. And, I'm putting it politely, but that's basically what you have to do.
Yeah. I have to be
because again, when you've got, when you've got 10 different people approaching you, trying to get you to do, as a player, and they're saying, try this or try that. And they're trying yours, and they're saying, well, wait a minute, I like this. Well, wait a minute, where's Marcy? And, they want to compare or they want to ask questions. The guy that's standing right there with the brand new set of clubs is going to say, well, try mine now. So it's a fine dance between, and it happens all the time, and it works both. It's going to work to your advantage one day. It's going to work to your disadvantage one day. That's just the nature of the beast.
Yes.
And all of the big manufacturers have all gone through that many times. But I think what I like about what it is, Marcy, that you and now your partner are doing is that you're looking at this. It's not just about sales. It's not just about, how many sets of clubs can we get out there. It's really about building relationships with people to the point that they feel confident. It's like if you have knowledge about something and somebody comes to you for that knowledge each and every time because they trust your expertise and your knowledge. That's the kind of relationship that you want, because it's not, you don't want a one and done. You don't want where you sell them the clubs or you give them the clubs or whatever the relationship is, and then you never see them again.
That's I don't like the part is, and then also just brand loyal is important. How we create a relationship base, right?
Exactly. It's all based on relationships.
Yes, it is.
Same with instruction. That's how instruction. I mean, you can be the best instructor in the world, but the truth of the matter is, if you don't have those relationship, that bond, it's a bond is what it is. You're developing a bond with the players that are using your equipment. So it becomes a sort of a fine dance. Talk about, everybody wants to get back to, they're tired of driving in the golf carts. They want to walk a little bit more, get some exercise. We all need to do that.
Yeah, we need it.
You guys have been doing some unique things. You have the rotator stand and obviously the equilibrium strap systems, for those that want to prefer to walk the course. Talk about that. That's something that's important to you guys as well, right?
Yeah, of course. Like all the golf is like total sports, not only the hitting ball, right? So it comes down to all the exercise and all the maintain it to the physically to be. People try to be young. That's why they are chasing to the distance and the swing speed and all kind of method is being involved. Yeah.
What is your vision for this year? I mean, obviously you were putting it together last year when we were talking and that, and probably even before that. What is your goal for 2026?
What is
What is
goal?
what is your goal? What is your overall goal for this year, for this season?
People try to do that, like we try to, we means Protoconcept. So
Sure.
everyone try to be comfortable with our brand, and then just keep telling to our consumers or our customers, we are there for you. We are there
Right.
for you means we are in the US, based in US, and then we support you anything what they need. And
Right.
then we don't go anywhere. We are still here. We are taking care of you. That's a customer service we try to provide, and then try to make more customers to be comfortable and then reliable, and then I try to create more our funds. That's my goal is, and then that means user ratios goes up. Yes, of course, I want to get more sales, but
Sure.
before we try to get the sales, I try to get more funds, and then try to get more the people who like interested in our product. That's I want to create it first, and then sales
Yeah.
comes after. That's I believe.
Yeah, it definitely brand awareness for sure. People,
Yes.
you want them to be aware of the brand, and you want to have. What do you want them to know particularly? I mean, you obviously want them to understand the brand, but what about the brand is it that you want them to understand? What is it about your clubs that you want them to see how they stand out in the market? Because there's a lot of, I mean, let's be honest, there's a lot of competition out there.
Oh, they are.
So what is it about your clubs that you want people to really get?
Because that's I believe I mentioned it before, which is like a product, like a brand loyal and a pride ownership. That's how I keep having it in this brand. And so everyone feel comfortable with us. That's my goal, and then that's people wants to feel it. If someone purchased in this year, if someone purchased last year, someone purchased 2 years ago, but they still have their ownership and then they pride of it, So
They
even
don't want to let it go.
no, and then even like a Mercedes Benz, if I can talk about, it's 20 years ago Mercedes Benz, and then this year's by Mercedes Benz is Mercedes Benz, right? Because the brand is brand. Keep having
exactly.
it a good maintain of the business all the time. That's what I want to do.
Yeah, people identify it as obviously a luxury item, but at the same time, they recognize the quality, and that's why they keep coming back. And that.
Yeah.
When you think about what it is that you do, I mean, you wear many hats. I mean, I'm wearing one tonight, Super Stroke, of course, but you figuratively wear many hats in your company. What do you love the most about your job? And what is the most challenging part of your job?
So,
so if you want to start with the challenge, what's the most, and I don't mean that it's hard necessarily, but challenging, what gives you the most challenge in your job? And then what do you love the most about it? I mean, there's a lot of things to love about it, but what specifically, what's the one thing that when I get up in the morning, that you say to Marcy inside, you say, I just love, and I can't wait to get to work because of, so start with the most challenging part of your job, and then end with the what do you love that gets you up in the mornings?
Challenging the job is like open the door to the new like stores or new business, which is new business relationship, because I need to let them to understand who I am first, right? So if we are the new company, and the Protoconcept is still a new company in the US, but they need to understand who we are. That is challenging. And then challenging the other side is every day, so I like to talk to my client every day, because I can share all the excitement, and then what happened, and then what's going on, and then what we are doing now. That's we can share, right? That's even to you. Ted, and I'm so happy to talk to you because I can share what I'm doing it, you know. So that is my excitement every day, you know. Like, and then also every morning when I wake up, and I'm so excited to what's going on or what's going to be new in the next couple of minutes, next 1 hour, or like
Yeah,
because
or
who
6
we
months
know
down the
we don't
road.
know. Yeah,
Right, exactly.
even today, I was at the warehouse. I tried to do the organizing, and I know I have the interview. This, you know, it's
Well, I'm
already
glad
because
yeah,
I'm
I'm glad
focused
you
on it
made
at the
it.
time. I
Yeah,
already,
no, I
yeah. Mhm.
yeah,
I'm
no, I'm glad that you were able to make it.
I'm
But,
sorry
the
to show
reason
up in t-shirts like this.
that's all right, that's all right. Um, one of the things that I look for when, I'm interviewing my guests is I'm obviously I'm a visual person by nature, but I also listen to things that they say, and you know you carry a lot of, and I remember this from our last interview as well,
Mm-hmm.
and you've brought it again this one, is you have a lot of excitement and enthusiasm about
Yes.
what you is, and very passionate,
Mm-hmm.
and that to me makes it so, even though there's daily challenges, weekly challenges, it doesn't feel like a job, does it? The same way. I mean, it is a job in a sense. I mean, it's your career, it's your livelihood, and so forth. But you're passionate about what you do because it brings you a certain level of excitement,
Mm-hmm.
creating something that is going to benefit somebody else,
Mm-hmm.
and ultimately is going to benefit you and your partner in that. But at the same time, there's a certain passion and a certain excitement in your voice when you talk about your product.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me is what I find more interesting than the products themselves. I'm not taking away from Protoconcept's product, but the person that's at the helm, the CEO of the company, if you're passionate about what it is that you do, it's infectious to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh yeah, I
and
appreciate it.
that's
I
that.
appreciated your comment,
Well,
and
and I
so.
mean, and I try to make you laugh. I made you laugh the last time. I'm going to try to make you again before we go. But that to me is important. I've always believed no matter what you do, whether it's me doing the show, whether it's teaching golf
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, is you always have to really enjoy and come with enthusiasm, because people will sense when you're disingenuous or phony or what have you. And you have, in the times that we've had an opportunity to be on the show together, is you have a lot of enthusiasm and
I appreciate
excitement,
it.
and a really a keen insight into wanting to understand your clients very well.
Try my best.
Yeah, well, it's a process. Trust me, with everybody,
Mm-hmm.
but you want to really get to know your clients on a more personal level, and I mean that in what they like, what they dislike, what they need, what they don't need, and then at the same time, you're trying to sort of marry them with something that you're passionate about, that with the right adjustments, the right tweaks that we talked
Mm-hmm.
about earlier,
Yes.
is going to make them have a better experience. And that, I would suspect, at the end of the day, when you get that feedback and saying, Marcy, hey, man, those clubs that I played last Saturday, I just exploded out in the golf course. So my final question, there has to be a certain amount of, I guess, and I don't like to use the word pride because I know that can have sort of a negative connotation, but there has to be a certain amount of satisfaction. We'll use that term
Mm-hmm.
instead. When you're getting that feedback from your clients who've been with you for a little while, and they're saying, man, I went out this last Saturday, I played with those new irons,
Mm-hmm.
and I just felt like everything was just working together. That gives you a sense, obviously, as I was saying as well, that you really enjoy, you love what you're doing, and that just helps reinforce that feeling. Is that accurate, do you think?
Yes, because I want to just share my excitement with my all the friends, and then all the clients and the customers, and even the tour uploads who I deal with, and so that's excitement is, people like kids. Kids wants to share all the what they see, what they want to find out to everyone, right? The mom,
Right, right.
dad, like neighbors and grandpa, grandma,
Sure.
And then that is that I want. That's me. And then that's my concept is what I found. It's good things, and I want to share. So that's what came out from my enthusiasm.
Yeah, well said. I think that you guys have a lot of great things happening, a lot of excitement going on, new relationships and so forth, which has been good. And I think 2026 and beyond is going to be good for you guys. So let me just say this as we get ready to wrap up. What a great show. I want to thank my special guest, Marcy Komoda from Protoconcept.
Thank you.
The website is protoconceptgolf.com. You can check that out there, all of their products, and you can reach out to them there. All right. What a show. A huge thanks to Clint Wright and Jamie Leno Zimron for showing us the path to a better swing. And also my featured guest of the evening, Marcy Komoda from Protoconcept Golf, for giving us a masterclass in golf equipment excellence. Join us next week as we continue into the world of golf. Until then, keep your head up and your divots in front of the ball. I'm Ted Rico, and you've been listening to Golf Talk Live. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this week's broadcast of Golf Talk Live. We'd like to thank this week's Coach's Corner panel, and a special thank you to tonight's guest. Remember to join Ted every Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. Central on Golf Talk Live. And be sure to follow Ted on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you're interested in being a guest on Golf Talk Live, send Ted an email at ted.golftalklive@gmail.com. This has been a production of the iGolf Sports Network.